there, I'm Ken and you're watching Kilt Can Cook, the Scottish cooking channel that encourages young men and women to have the confidence and competence they need to conquer the kitchen. Usually I try to do these intros live, but let's just say that it's Jock's fault and move on, shall we? Good. Alright, we're going to make a spicy pork bulgogi. Now I'm not sure if I got that pronounced correctly. I'm not Korean, I didn't have much experience with it, so we're doing our best. When I was a lad we didn't have much in the way of spicy food. It was only at university that I learned the true liberation of food with flavour. And a tasty Korean spicy pork was the first food that I tried that had that special something I've been missing on all that time. Ever since I've been loving food that has that wee bit of kick to it. Spice, heat, flavour, and this dish, while not perfectly authentic, is still pretty close. It'll be a good test of your skills as a chef. Consider this your exams. Now, I'm sure you saw on that list of ingredients a lot of weird looking things that you might not have in your cabinet. Well, this is what I used, and it did cost a wee bit of money, so make a one-time investment and expand your spice rack. We'll start it off by cutting into a couple of onions. As long-time viewers will know, I like showing myself cutting onions, much like I like showing myself cracking eggs. I don't know why. Maybe it's in the roasties. Do 2 onions. You can do more if you like. I only wanted 2. Now we're going to do green onions. A green onion is like a long, thin straw. So we're just going to be cutting this up into, I don't know, 1/3 to 1/2 inch slices. Pieces, whatever you want to call it. And just scrape that in, about 4 of them. Add about a tablespoon of sugar or honey. And then the equivalent of 2 cloves of garlic, which in this case is 4 teaspoons of this pre-minced stuff. Now I'll add 2 tablespoons of toasted sesame seeds. Alright, and 3 tablespoons of gochujang sauce. It's a Korean spicy barbecue sauce, and it's amazing. As a way of cleaning out our spoon, we're going to pass 3 tablespoons of soy sauce into our recipe. And add a tablespoon of ginger paste. Aye, this is kind of like cannibalism on my part. Now, I tried to find Korean red chili flakes, and this is the closest I could find. It's not quite as spicy as regular American red pepper, so be careful with that. Now we'll add a tablespoon or 2 of rice vinegar. And then just mix it up with your tablespoon. No reason to get another spoon dirty. That doesn't look quite thick enough. You know what? I think I'm going to add a wee bit more chili sauce. And a little bit more gochujang sauce. Very nice. And maybe a small amount of sesame seed oil. Okay, this is a pork roast. Find it in the right grocer and it's quite cheap. You want a very sharp blade so you can make thin strips like this. In my case, the pork wasn't totally defrosted, which allows for an easier and safer time cutting my roast. Now just break down your thin strips even further. Now this part is very important. All that sauce we made was to make a marinade for our pork. You want that pork in your refrigerator for at least 1 hour before you cook it, but having it in overnight is likely to be your best bet to make sure that that marinade fully penetrates the meat. And after a day or so in the marinade, it stops being as effective. Still tasty though. Give it a good shake, blend it all together, and after a day or so, it will be ready to use. Now I put some rice to boil, and as you can see, my hand is radioactive. Now we get our oil nice and hot, and then put small amounts of pork on at a time. This will wind up being about 1/3 of our total pork that we wound up preparing, and it was large enough that 2 people could have eaten, but because I didn't have anyone to eat with, it wound up being just enough for 1 person. But aye, you could stretch it to make it 2, 3, 4 people if you want to. Because our slices are so thin, this cooks quite fast. But we want to make sure it cooks fully. So let it sit for no more than 5 minutes per side, I'd say. Depends on how hot you get your oil. What we want is for all that sugar that we had to caramelise fully, just like so. Now it's time to scoop out a bed of rice. I prefer brown rice because I like the flavour, but you can go with white if you like. And then it's time to just ladle out our pork. And that's a spicy pork bulgogi. Oddly enough, it's not really very spicy. When I did this myself, I had to add extra chilli and sriracha sauce because it's more of a rich flavour. So give it a go and have a taste of my own nostalgia. In the meantime, you're watching Kilt Can Cook, the Scottish cooking channel that encourages young men and women to have the confidence and competence they need to conquer the kitchen.